Welcome to the Evans Legacy Financial Podcast, where real people have real conversations about money, mindset, and making moves. I'm your host, Jake Evans, and this show isn't about fluff or hype. It's about educating our community, sharing stories, and giving you the tools to make better decisions in business and in life. Well, let's dive in. Today, we're dealing with fear, and our episode is called Fear Doesn't Tap Out, How We Fight Through It Daily. All right, well, I'm here with Luke, and we're going to, first segment, I want to talk about recognizing fear, naming the battle, feeling small, being the oldest, the role of anger and security played, training MMA, not to compete, but to cope, fear of failure, falling short, and all those kind of things. So, Luke, when did you recognize fear was driving, not strength?
Well, that'd be a retrospect thing. I noticed it. I came clean to myself in my early 30s, late 20s. Kind of like came to Jesus to myself, like, you're afraid. Mm-hmm. This is all, and you're a big talker. You're a big bark. You're not a very big bite. And when you say that to yourself, there's a lot of things that kind of open up to yourself, and you kind of understand, you're looking, why am I this way? And I have my scalps, and I have my successes, and I have my alpha moments, but in my 30s, I just kind of knew, oh, shoot, man, I have just been only relying on what I'm good at in life.
So we've talked a little bit off mic, and I pose this question because strength was driving you. It was your sheer strength. It was your sheer brutality, and your training and all that. And then this is where fear. You realized that fear crept in, right?
Well, I got an MMA because I was very, very good. I've always been very talented, and this is where it comes in a negative standpoint. I've always been very talented at a lot of things, mm-hmm. and the things I had to work at, the things I had to be disciplined on, were the things that I didn't do well. So MMA was, I needed to know that I was tough because I was told that I was tough. I was told that I was a good fighter growing up. I was a little guy. I got in fights, and so people were like, man, you're this, that, and the other. And so as MMA started coming to fruition, it was almost kind of like, you need to put your money where your mouth is, and you need to go do this to prove to not only yourself but everybody else, I'm built for this. This is what I do. This is what I'm going to be good at. And I got into MMA and was excellent at it until you needed to get serious and really discipline your life.
And you needed to get in the ring.
And get in the ring. And that was the thing. And that was running and ducking.
And not just getting in the ring in MMA, but in getting in the ring in life.
Getting in the ring wasn't fighting. Getting in the ring was challenging humiliation.
Mm. So let me ask you something. You told me earlier, and I hope you don't mind I share this.
No, sure.
But you told me that fear kept you out of the ring.
Oh, I couldn't lose in front of my friends or family. What if I got knocked out? What if this guy just pulverized me for 3 rounds and just beat the brakes off me? Basically just dry humped me for 3 rounds and looked at my mom in the eyes. You know what I mean? I'm doing this to him.
Well, it's a family show, but I think we can get away with that.
But you understand. Yeah.
No, I get it.
So that was the thing. It was why would I risk the humiliation? And that's the in my 30s looking back was, why didn't I focus so hard on MMA? It was like, because you were afraid to lose, because you were afraid. You were afraid to look bad. You were afraid to be humiliated. You were afraid. And so because you were afraid, you had a really good talent that God given you, and you didn't go after it because you were too afraid to look silly and bad in front of the world. And that stems from insecurity down, deep down.
And so now we're talking about your identity. This kind of played a role in.
It was a false identity.
So how did that false identity play a role? What role did that play in how you handled fear?
I didn't get in a lot of fights, man. I've had probably 20 fist fights. Mm-hmm. That's not a lot compared to a lot of dudes who've had hundreds, right? Mm-hmm. But my fights were always with bullies, big guys, savages, and my fights were bad. I hurt them bad, and so I got a rep. But I never did a lot. and I wasn't out there looking for it. When it found me, I handled it, and I handled it well. So that was this false sense of bravado. Oh, I'm good at this. Oh, I'm tough. No, I'm not. I was scared to death. If I could have a magic wand and tap, I wish the guy never saw me. I wish we never had conflict. Right. I wish we went on our way and everything was just the way it was. It was never a point of, and I might have barked. I might have been like, the whole thing maybe have stemmed from me. But deep down, I wish I could just disappear.
You know, I have a similar, not MMA or anything like that, but I grew up on the mean streets. I grew up in, incarceration and things like that, and that's part of my story.
You got to get down.
But I remember, you have to. And I remember I was afraid of myself because I saw no end to what I was willing to do to win whatever battle I had to win, and I would see red, and I would have to have people I'd have to have them pull me off of somebody because I was just, But
that's the thing, though. So you were afraid of that. Mm-hmm. I had to force that on myself. I put myself in that position. I needed to in order for me to not be afraid.
Right.
So, and I never saw red. I was completely controlled. I never saw red. Never. No. And I have, and I'm not saying this, this is really stupid. I wish this had never happened, but I've taken chunks off of people. Mm-hmm. I've gouged eyes to where I know that there's going to be some really bad damage. There's a guy still out there, and I'm really, really sorry. At a party, I took a chunk out of his side. When I got down, I got down. So seeing red to me, I've never understood that. It was always like, I'm down. I want to kill you. I'm going to kill you. If I'm not stopped,
right.
And if you're making those girl noises, those moans and those stops, you're just turning me on. I'm only wanting more of that.
Right.
So the seeing red thing, I understood it, but I was already in a threshold of you're gonna die.
Mm-hmm. I think the difference is where I was coming from was, it was kill or be killed.
I've never been where you have been in that area, and I can't even conceptualize having to, because there is no other option. Mm-hmm. And it's the kill or be killed or be a punk. Like that when I think about it, and I know that I can handle myself, and I know in those situations I'd be okay, it scares me when I see those movies, when I see those situations, the shank, the rules, the everything. I can't even imagine how terrifying it would have been for you.
Right. So there's two. Now we're talking about the grit, the absolute grit that fear envelops.
It does. It does do that. It forces you. It forces you to do. You had no choice, mm-hmm. And I really was a sensitive kind of bitch baby to where I had to get into a frenzy in order for me to commit. You know what I mean?
So let me ask you something. How did fear show up in your breaking points?
In my
in life?
Oh, easy. Pride, ego. Authority.
Okay. Same.
Meanness.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really good at squashing bull. If you're a guy that puts a handshake out, no matter how pissed I am, it's a really hard thing for me to get in. It's like, oh man, well, this is over. If someone turns their back or gives me a white flag, it's very, very hard for me to just continue on.
So another question about this whole thing, recognizing fear, is what are the sneaky ways fear shows up in your everyday life?
Well, right now, because I'm a middle-aged 46-year-old man with kids, and I just started a business to fail, to
scare the hell out of anybody,
to not be a worthy provider, to downgrade, to see my family have to downsize, downgrade, move backwards. That is a penetrating fear for me that I know I'm not supposed to have, and especially because I believe in the Lord, and so I know He has a plan for me, a plan to protect me, a plan to see greatness in my life. But the thing is we get that misconstrued sometimes, is we think that that's always going to be monetary value as we see, or this, and it might just be the deepened relationship between Him and you, mm-hmm. or the deepened relationship between you and your family. And it might not be a monetary thing, but we're so, as Americans, like, that's who you are. If you don't have the A, B, and C, then you're not the,
But it's also, I think what I'm hearing is it's also the deepened relationship with ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
Coming to find out who we really are at this point in life. At 46 years old, I didn't do it till I was 50.
Yeah. I think I agree with you 100%. I don't think I'd be able to see so clearly how bad I was. And what I'm currently working on. Like, I'm vulnerable to now say, hey, I'm Luke. I'm afraid, but I'm going to conquer this because I have no choices. I love my family, and you got to be a man.
Yep.
And you can't be a bitch. And I'm sorry if there's a family show now. I can say bitch, I think. But you can't be. As a man, you can't be. And so it doesn't matter if you have muscles or not. If you're waking up in the morning and you're providing for yours and you're doing well for your tribe, and you're a man.
Mm-hmm. I got it. So I want to switch gears a little bit here. You talked about being a bartender. You talked about 4 a.m. juicing, some other things you were doing in life, and then movement, mindset, morning routines, your weapons that you used and stuff like that. So what I want to know is what keeps you, and we know you don't get in the ring.
No, not
but
anymore,
life.
Not even close.
What keeps you in the ring when no one's clapping?
My sense of who I am now as a man. I know I'm a very hard worker. My father instilled that in me. My father also instilled very punctuality, and he instilled be there 10 minutes early and stay 10 minutes late. That's what winners do.
Okay, so I want to talk about that. I want to expand that a little bit.
Sure.
And I want to talk to the audience about that.
Absolutely.
Because I think that's a problem today with people just showing up when they want to.
100%, Jake.
And I think you and I come from the old school of if you're not 10 minutes early, you're late.
You're late.
And it's simple, and it's business. And if you want to be in business, if you want to be successful, you can't show up late. You can't show up, and if you want to be a successful family man, a successful father, you can't show up to family late. You can't show up for your kids late. You can't show up for your wife late.
Punctuality is a key.
Right.
A lot of people don't appreciate you. When you are not punctual, you're telling that other person that your time is more valuable than theirs.
Right.
And that's not what a meeting is. A meeting is we're meeting at this time to come together and share our time equally. And if you are not doing that to your wife or your children because your time is more important, it will show up in the relationship.
Okay, that's awesome stuff, man. So what new disciplines had to replace the old reactions?
Honestly, really?
Yeah.
There was a time about 8 months ago where I just said to myself, and I don't want to go too much into this, but just growing up in religion, I never was religious. In fact, I went as far as you can go to the opposite side from sex, drugs, rock and roll, and jail. So I went as far as you could go from a kid who was raised the way I was raised, right? There was just a period of time, it was close, it's been almost a year, it's been over a year now, and I just was in my car, because I'm in my car a lot, traveling for business, and I just said, I'm going to hell, and I want to be righteous. I want to be righteous. And I believe that there's a verse in the Bible that says, "He who began a good work," I always get emotional, is faithful
That's
to.
what the show's about.
Yeah, is faithful to complete that work. And I don't know why that I was in the car in that mode. I mean, I wasn't anything different. I wasn't processing anything different. I just felt like there was this thing that came over me, and I was like, I'm going to go to hell. And I just need to start being righteous. And so when I started that path of purposefully trying to shed sin in my life, and of course you can't do it yourself, so you need, I'm in a prayer life, and I'm reading the Bible, on a daily basis, and I'm still me. I haven't changed at all, but you just start unpacking the BS.
I know that. I see that.
I don't know how. I don't know what. I can't encourage you to be like, this is how you do it. I just know
what works.
I don't even know what works. I just know that because I'm a child of his,
right,
that at 46, 45 years old, he came in and he said, I want you to put this down, and I want you to start following me. And I've never been able to do this. I never wanted to do it. I hated church people because I was a church guy. I didn't want it. Church people are still hard for me at church. I sit in the very, 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 very back row. I come in, I sit in the corner, I do me. I have bugaboos still from child church stuff. So, but he is real, and he shows up.
You know, I'm going to say,
so,
can I?
yeah.
I'm going to interrupt something because I grew up in a Catholic church. I came to Fresno. I went to a Pentecostal church.
Okay.
And this was all the rules, all
Yeah.
of the doctrine, all of that, and then I ran away, and then I came back, and today, and in my recovery and in all the stuff I've been through, I found out that it's not about church. It's about the relationship with my Creator,
Amen.
my God, whoever my God is,
whoever that is to you.
Whoever it is to me,
we can have another theological.
We could have a
conversation about that down the road, but it doesn't matter at this point. It's what got you to that.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is you've got some new disciplines, and so do I, and I have this issue as well. Is what do you do when fear sneaks back in?
I pray.
Okay.
And I say, Elon Musk said something, I loved it. He said, it's so simple. When fear comes, you turn and you look at it straight in the eye, and then it goes away. And it's not like it just quickly goes away, but it's the only way to get rid of it is to turn and face it. And so in my life now with business, starting a new business and everything that I'm doing, the imposter syndrome and feeling inadequate and insecure and maybe this doesn't work and maybe it does work and all the freaking emotions you go through. I just say, you have a plan for me, and I need to be prepared to be at peace right now, present with whatever I have. If I'm at home and I want to be at work because I'm really, really insecure that I'm not getting a lot of leads, or I've gotten out, hit the pavement, and not had a lot of success, and so maybe I have an hour or two at home that I wouldn't have had, I try to slow down and look at my kid and go, I'm not going to get this time with you. And then when this time's over, I'll never get it again. And so instead of being here pissed off, let me start downloading your face. Let us download memories. Let me be present in teaching you how to ride your bike instead of riding your bike and saying, good job, babe, and checking my phone at the same time.
I'm going to talk a little bit about my story with that as my kids, and I'm writing a book right now, and I'm going into a lot of this and realizing that I wasn't there for my kids when they were that age. And I was there, but I wasn't. I had them half the time. I was present but not present. I was the fun dad. I wasn't the dad. I was just the guy that was there to take them and have fun and no discipline, nothing like that. So, but today I've had that second chance. And I wish that I could go back and download their face when they were little. I have to depend on pictures that I find and things like that. So yes, when they're young, I think time and that downloading of the images of what you do is so important.
I mean, especially when they're little, they change every 2 weeks.
Right. I just went to a baby shower and they were getting all these clothes. Speaking of 2 weeks, and I chime in and I go, yep, all that you just got is about 2 weeks worth of clothes.
Done. Yeah. Now we're passing that on to the next one. So and man, I can work. There's nothing more. I am comfortable if my plate is too busy. It makes me happy. I don't mind coming home and scraping my knuckles on the floor because I'm so tired. In fact, if anything, I come home going, "Good job, Luke. Way to go, brother. You put it in." So
and that's structure. That's structure, not trying harder. That's just happening.
So, but when that doesn't happen, is when I'm insecure. Is when I'm hunting and I'm unsuccessful. When I'm looking for business. When deals don't close. When things don't happen. I start getting into a negative mode, and at that point, that's when fear starts creeping over, and at that point, I just need to be grateful. I have legs. I'm an American man. I'm free. I'm building a business. No one can tell me what to do. For the most part, my government allows me to make money.
Right.
In California.
Don't even get me started on that.
No.
That's a whole nother show.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, but I'm not sick. My family's not sick. I'm not running for my life. There's so much to be grateful for, and I don't want to always be clouded by if my business isn't doing well, then I'm not doing well, because that's not true. It's just not true. And if that is true, then you need to start taking a deep inside, and then who are you? Who is that bloodline to you? And who are they to you in the future? And what do you think? And do you remember you at their age and how you felt if your parents weren't around or didn't process or weren't present? So just,
Yeah. So that, man, and it kind of goes into our next little segment here about what I'm calling universal fear and what we all need here. Not just you and me, not just the men out there, but all the men and women, the kids, everything is fear doesn't care who you are. It comes for all of us. Number one.
Absolutely.
Silence is what gives fear power. Okay. And it's not about being fearless. It's about being willing. So, tell me something. What lie did fear try to sell you when you were deep in it?
You're too short. For the audience, I'm 5'4". I'm a very short man, but I'm 200 pounds, and I'm not 200 pounds in fat. I'm 200 pounds, and if you saw me, you
guys ought to see this guy, man. I'm sitting in front of him. He's got a head like a rock.
So I'm not trying to say that because I am a very, very, very short. In fact, I'm just to divulge to you, I'm 5'3" and 3/4. So I'm very, very short. And that was the pinnacle of my insecurity. And I had to prove that every single day to everybody. And I never could prove it to me.
Mm-hmm.
So that carried with me a long way until I was comfortable. And then I lost my hair in my 20s, my mid-20s. So now I'm bald and short. And if you have an insecurity, you just start, seeing yourself as this. And I'm not ugly. And I have a good personality. And I'm smart. And I'm not dumb. And I am good. I'm very athletic. And I'm very strong. And I'm God gave me so much. And the only thing I saw was deficiencies. And I'm not trying to say I am on this, but there's so many times. I never saw any of that. I only saw short, bald.
You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say I'm 62 years old, and going through life and watching young people. And when I was young, and I'm not when I was young, when I was 50, because I didn't get my head out of where until I was 50 years old. When I started seeing how much insecurity there was in successful, beautiful people.
Oh, man, you think they have it together.
You think they'd have it all together, but there's people out here listening to this right now that don't have it all together, and what we're trying to tell them is that if you stay silent, if you don't admit to the fear, it's just going to get louder and bigger.
It was an eye-opener for me. I was in banking between 2000 and I financed commercial real estate, hotels, gas stations, general purpose properties, etc., for about 3 years total. And when you go to business with these dudes, you're seeing them show up with, $2,000 suits and, $20,000 watches, and they're showing up $100,000 vehicles. And you're like, dang, man, like that's what I want, and they're like, hey, let's have lunch on the boat on Saturday. And, I'm in the marina and yada, yada, yada. And then you come home with them, maybe you're partying or whatnot. You go to their house and you see the family structure, or you see the relationship with the wife, or you see who they really are without the money and the prestige.
Right.
And you're like, oh, dude, I'd rather be poor. Like, how do you not have it figured out? How do you have all of this and don't have anything?
But you know why? So I think sometimes, and I see this, and I'm not, this isn't the solution to everything, but I said it a minute ago, is that silence gives power. So if they're not admitting that they're afraid, that fear just gets louder and more powerful and keeps them even more bound.
They live in the lie.
Yeah. And that's that lie. Back to the question, what lie did that fear tell you? It tells you all kinds of stuff. You're not good enough. You're never going to make as much money as the guy next door. Your house is never going to be as nice as the guys next door. When you got to realize that, yeah, I'm afraid, but none of that matters, because what matters is that I'm happy, I'm successful, and you have to start telling yourself that.
Yeah, but they don't even know that it's happiness, because real happiness, I'm sorry, I don't care who you are. I don't care. Monetary gain is awesome. Money is freaking awesome.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But if you don't know how to be a human being, if you don't know how to be a friend, if you don't know how to be selfless, if you don't know how to love your family and be selfless to your family or your friends or just humanity, there is not a shiny object that you're not. That shiny object, there's always one around the corner, and it's endless, and it's a facade.
Yep.
It will never, ever give you what you want. And when you're lost in that lie, the only thing you want is a bigger, shinier facade. Because it's so much harder to turn around and face what you've been talking about, Jake, and deal with, okay, why in everything else in my life am I an absolute mess?
So this is I mean, I'm sure there's all kinds of discussions and shows and all this about this question alone. But I want your take on this question. How do you feel someone can begin to confront fear today? From your eyes.
From my eyes, first of all, if you're not, so I believe in the Holy Spirit, but we can say the Holy Spirit is consciousness, okay? For people who don't believe what I believe. Okay, your consciousness, it doesn't lie. I don't care if you're a repeat violent offender. You know wrong and right. You feel it. You know what it is. You know, even if it's exhilarating for you to commit wrong. You know what I mean? Your conscience tells you, I can't get away with this, or I can't do this, or I don't care. You know what I mean? If you are not real about your conscience and about you, who you are in yourself, if you can't have real meets, if you can't be in the dark when no one's looking and go, I messed that up, or I am out of control, or something's wrong with me. I can't love people. People can't love me. I'm going
to expand that.
If you can't get into that and see that you have a problem, then you're going to be shooting blind for a long time.
So I have a little situation in my life that I can speak to on that. So I was doing something in business that I wasn't really proud of, and I knew it was wrong, but I was making $8,000 a week. Okay, the money was good, and I'd stand and look at myself in the mirror every day, being afraid that I wasn't going to make it, right? And say, "You're going to get caught. You're going to get caught," and that's where you're going to get caught. And I'd look at myself back because I wasn't willing to admit. I'd look back and I'd say, "Yep, I know, but the money's too good. I'm going to keep going."
Yeah, your consciousness was the truth.
Yep,
and we do it. We straight arm our consciousness all the time.
Push it away.
And I think the people who do that are the people who live in their lie the most. And sometimes it takes a tragedy or a loss, or some people. I have a lot of things I've been on podcasts and whatnot. I mean, it's not necessarily correlates with me, but I mean, I see people now with hallucinogens coming back and be like, man, what a POS I've been to my family, and I'm not going to be the one that's like, no, that's not real. I mean, if you're coming back to anything and saying, I need to be more selfless, I need to be more present, I need to be more about all of you and less about me, if you're doing that, then you're facing your fear. And you're having those conscious meetings with yourself and abiding in the truth.
And there it is. You just said it. The answer to the question is facing your fear and getting honest about it. About it means being vocal about it and taking, because I've understood and I've learned in recovery that anything you're afraid of, anything that's coming at you, if you open it up and you're vulnerable about it, it takes the power away from it. It's like, oh crap, I've been exposed. I can't do this anymore. So that exposure right there.
Well, you abide by the truth.
A couple more. Why do you think so many people feel alone in this battle?
It's hard. I mean, it took me 30 years, and I have a really good family. I mean, I have a great mom and dad. I have a mom and dad that said you could do anything, that supported me in everything, that tell me I was worthy, loved. You couldn't. I have award-winning parents, and they gave us a life. I went to private school. I mean, I have lifelong friends to this day that are 40 years old.
This show is really bringing people in that have struggled, didn't have that, but I brought you in because I wanted to show people that you could even have that and still have all of the stuff that someone who didn't.
Because life beats you up, man. And we are evils in the world, and the great deceiver. This is my belief. Everybody out there, Satan is going to do everything he can to make you feel at your worst. He wants to deceive and lie. That's how he has power. And I think, regardless of who you believe, the world is hard. And the world wants to lie to you, and the world wants to tell you that you're not good enough and that you never will be, and that's not true. And no matter who you are or where you come from or how you look or what race or what creed, you are here for a purpose. And I think we lose that. We lose that I'm here for a purpose. We're here just because we're here. And Why we're here, we don't know, and we don't care, and we're not trying to get better, and it's to this or it's to that, and we just have surrendered the fact that we all had a purpose to be here.
We've surrendered to the wrong power.
We've surrendered to the wrong power. We've surrendered to a deceiving nature that tells us you're a mistake.
Yeah.
And that's not true.
Right. So hey, let me ask you one more question before we kind of wrap this up. What does real courage actually look like?
Oh, that's easy, man. Waking up and doing the things that you're afraid to do and you don't want to do on a daily basis. And so many American men and women do that every day, and they discount that they are courageous. Making the right decision, moving forward, doing what's best for their tribe, doing what's best for their last name, doing what's best for their God. And even though it's not what they want to do or what they thought they were doing, they are still promising on tomorrow, hoping for a better tomorrow, and giving their family everything they got so they can have it better than them. That's courage.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, Luke, hey, you know what? I really want to thank you. We've covered a lot of stuff, how fear hides, how it haunts, how we fight it. Now you may, by listening to this, you may have tools to call it out and walk through it, lead others, while still feeling it. So if you could speak directly to someone who's living in quiet fear right now, what's the one thing that you would want them to hear before we sign off?
You only have a little bit here to live. You're here and then you're gone. And if you're not the hero of your movie and you're not trying to be, every day is a chance. Every day is a try. Every day is a better opportunity. If you're sitting in a position where you're not trying anymore and there's no consistency in your life to get better, then you're never going to have it. But every day, if you just can get up and take a walk or make your bed or move closer to just doing, you're going to make it. Consistency is the key to success. I know that from now on. I know that now in life. Consistency, not winning, but being consistent. If you are consistent and you show up, life will happen. I promise you. If you are consistent, it doesn't matter. Just be consistent moving forward, no matter how little it is. You will win. You'll start to rack up wins. And when you start racking up wins, it's a snowball effect. And you start winning. And when you win, things open up. But it starts with getting up, moving forward, and being consistent. And if you don't, you die.
Exactly. All right. Well, you know what? We've come to the end of the show. We've discovered that fear often wears masks like anger or perfectionism. We explore a daily discipline and vulnerability build power. And we heard how naming and confronting fear gives you the upper hand. So if you haven't already taken a moment, take a moment and reflect on what fear is costing you and what you're willing to do about it. You're now ready to get back in the ring, gloves on, eyes open, because fear doesn't tap out, and neither do we. Luke, thank you very much for being here today, man. I appreciate you. If you haven't already, take a moment to reflect on what fear is costing you and what you're willing to do about it. You're now ready to get back in the ring, gloves on and eyes open, because fear doesn't tap out, and neither should we. Come back next time, and I'm not giving any teasers or anything like that. We're just going to bring in another powerful guest that we're just going to have a conversation with. Until next time, keep listening. Thanks for tuning into the Evans Legacy Financial Podcast. If you got value from today's episode, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us for more real conversations that move the needle in life and business. Until next time, keep building, keep growing, and never stop chasing what matters.